Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyerboxingnews.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, last weekend, a couple of fighters delivered for us. Mayfield simply had too much talent for Mauricio Herrera. Herrera comes from the tough guy school of boxing. In other words, he's trying to show that he has more heart than you. His hand speed isn't that great. His punching power isn't that great. What is great is his persistence. But understand, at the top of the game, talent matters. Hand speed matters. What do we mean by talent? We're talking about things like punching power, hand speed, explosiveness, foot speed. They all matter. And unless you have the skills, have the technical brilliance to offset another guy's athleticism, you're going to be in the deep end of the pool. And that's where Herrera found himself. Mayfield was able to hop in repeatedly with very heavy hooks. He just looked more explosive. He looked like the harder puncher in the fight. And that's what won the day. Make no mistake, Herrera pushed the issue. He was in Mayfield's face the entire fight. He is an overachiever. He's driven. There are going to be nights where Herrera beats superior talents like Ruslan Provatnikov. Right? There are going to be those nights where he's hanging in there against a superior talent in Mike Alvarado. Right? But at the end of the day, occasionally, the talented guy is going to show just too much. And I thought that's what Mayfield did. Let me say this too. I noticed that Mayfield's retooling his style a little bit. Now he's trying to change from being an ambush fighter, in other words, outside, jumps in, explodes, gets back out, to now being more of a technician who stays inside. All I can say is the problem with that is I found that technicians are just wired differently than the rest of us, right? It's like speaking a language. A technician learns how to be fluent in different languages early in their career. So by the time they're Mayfield's age, and Mayfield's not early 20s, look into his background. He's been in the game for a while. He's getting his shot now, but he's been in the game for a while. By the time they're Mayfield's age, certain things are second nature. Rolling with punches, right? Reading an opponent. Having a defense that doesn't always require a defensive shell, right? Fighting a little bit faster because they're able to defend themselves without operating out of a defensive shell, right? These are things that I question whether Mayfield at this stage is going to master, right? There is going to come a point, and it comes in every boxer's career, where their athleticism isn't enough to trump an opponent's technical brilliance, right? And so the challenge for Mayfield is going to be the same challenge that his stablemate, Amir Khan's going to have. He's going to have to literally learn to rewire his system. In other words, Amir Khan right now doesn't really move his head, right? His head's stiff. He's kind of like this. He jumps in, he throws punches, he gets back out. These are guys who are going to have to learn to literally, on the inside, move with punches. You know what I mean? Roll with punches. The stuff that comes intuitively to, let's say, a Devin Alexander or a Vitaly Klitschko is the kind of stuff that Mayfield's going to have to incorporate in his game. He's world class. He certainly was too much for Mauricio Herrera. He delivered for us. Let's talk about technical brilliance now. Another fighter who delivered, who I consider to be on a different level than Mayfield. And that's the lightweight champion, Miguel Vasquez. Now, let me just say this. I've read reports where people are saying, hey, Vasquez really didn't dominate his fight. I saw the fight, and I noticed some of the commentators felt that Vazquez might be a little overrated. They've got to be kidding. This guy's one of the most underrated fighters in the sport, right? Forget what the press is saying. Look at the judges' scorecards. I know one judge gave the fight to Marvin Quintero. Fair enough. 115, 113. You can't have a much more closer scorecard than that, right? Understand the other two judges had Miguel Vasquez winning by 4 and 8 rounds. The fight wasn't close, right? Vasquez is 5'10", and he's a righty. He's fighting a 5'7" southpaw who likes to come in with big hooks, who's a knockout puncher, right? Who throws a big uppercut. And Vazquez is able to literally just circle away from the guy's left hand, keep him befuddled all fight, have him walking into jabs all fight, even is able to lean in on occasion and land his own uppercuts. Vazquez, in effect, neutralized Marvin Quintero's power. You wouldn't even have known that Marvin was a knockout puncher. The fight literally turned into a boxing match where, of course, just as we talked about before the fight, Miguel Vasquez was able to dominate. Vazquez does it on his back foot for all 12 rounds, right? Think about it. Vazquez is backing away from a knockout puncher for most of the fight, but yet, like Juan Manuel Marquez against Manny Pacquiao, is able to stay away from the ropes. He's able to avoid being cornered. He's able to neutralize the other guy's power. He made that fight uneventful. On his back foot, he dictated the tempo of the fight. Right? The problem with technicians, and it's a big problem, right? The problem with this chair, we'll get into that in another video. But the problem with technicians is they're able to systematically neutralize an opponent's strengths to such an extent that viewers of the fight say to themselves, oh, this opponent's having an off night, right? We hear that with regard to Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez, right? People say, what's wrong with Pacquiao? Right? Why is Manny not being Manny in this fight? Well, it's because Marquez isn't allowing him to be Manny. He's not allowing Pacquiao to step where he needs to step to throw that straight left, right? He's not allowing Manny to run in when he wants to without dealing with counters, right? To get the angles Manny wants to where Manny's successful, right? Marquez is depriving Pacquiao of all of those angles. That's what Miguel Vasquez does. So let's talk about Vasquez's next fight, because there's a huge group in boxing that believes that his next opponent, unbeaten Mercito Gesta, is going to give Vazquez all he can handle. Now, let me just say this. Vazquez just beat a 5'7" southpaw, right, by at least 4 rounds on 2 of the judges' scorecards. Gesta is a 5'7" southpaw. The only difference, really, between Marvin Quintero and Mercito Gesta is that Gesta throws straight punches compared to Quintero, who's more of a looper, right? But understand, what Gesta likes to do, just like Manny Pacquiao, ironically, is he likes to come forward, put his right foot, right, since he's a southpaw, put his right foot outside of your left foot So he has you pinned. Then he throws a straight left hand, his dominant hand, right down the pike to take you out. Right? Not much of a jabber. Right? What he is a guy with great legs who likes to move around the ring just like Manny Pacquiao. In fact, his style is remarkably close to Pacquiao's style. Right? Pacquiao does things a little bit faster, but both guys are explosive. Gesta likes to bounce around the ring. Then, when he sees an opportunity to drop that right foot, his right foot has to be out in front. He then drops that right foot, comes in, throws that straight left hand. Right? He'll mix it up with you. Right? He'll throw other punches. But his money punch is that straight left hand right down Main Street. Right? Now understand, when you're fighting Vazquez, a technician, you're kidding yourself if you think Vazquez is even going to allow you to put your right foot outside his feet. Right? Understand, that's what technicians do. They even deprive you of the footwork you need to throw your best punches. Right? Not only that, when Gesta comes in, understand he's going to be dealing with one of the best jabs in the sport. Right? It's not like Vazquez, who's the champ. Right? It's not like Vazquez is standing around waiting for Gesta to run his game plan. No, it's like when Gesta comes in, he's going to be dealing with Vazquez's jab. And Vazquez is going to move. Right? Gesta likes to pin you. He likes you to be stationary. He wants a shootout because, of course, he has fast hands. He's a great athlete. Right? He wants a shootout. He wants you there for the shootout. The problem with fighting a Miguel Vasquez or Juan Manuel Marquez is that they don't have to be there. They can fight you on their back foot, backing away. And understand, it's an art form. Because the guy's on his back foot. In other words, he's not there in front of you for you to attack him. He's on his back foot, but yet, as he backs away, he never backs into a corner. He's somehow circling in the middle of the ring, backing up. Right? It's a cat and mouse game. He moves just enough so you aren't able to set your feet to throw your Sunday punch. Right? He moves just enough so you have to reset. And while you're resetting, you're getting hit with jabs. He moves just enough so when you leap in to throw your Sunday punch, he's changed the angle a little bit and he's hitting you with a counter. Now, I've looked at the films on Gesta. Let me just say this. As flashy as he looks, he's not that complicated a fighter. A guy like Miguel Vasquez is that complicated a fighter. Now, I'm hearing that Gesta is going to go to Big Bear to train. And he's going to work on his stamina. He's going to try to raise his level of fitness to the next level. Here's the problem. When you're fighting a technician, it's not about fitness. It's about angles and strategy. In other words, whether Gesta is ready to run a marathon or not, if he can't plant that right foot outside of Vazquez's left foot, he won't be able to throw that straight left hand the way he wants to. Right? That's whether he's in shape or not. That's whether he trains at high altitude or low altitude. In other words, what what's going to trip him up in this fight isn't fitness, right? It's actually the technique, right? It's the fact that Vazquez is the kind of fighter who knows how to derail southpaws. He just did it to Marvin Quintero. Same size, southpaw just like Gesta, right? Let me just say, too, that's how thorough Vazquez is. Before he fights Gesta, he fights a Gesta clone. So by the time he fights Gesta, guess what? He's just fought a southpaw. He's just had to deal with backing away on his back foot like he's gonna do against Gesta. He's just done it for 12 rounds. He knows he can go 12 rounds. He was able to neutralize Marvin Quintero's power. And understand, Quintero, I know they made much of it on the telecast talking about his chin problems. But I can't say that Gesta hits harder than Quintero. You know, Vazquez just diffused a bomb thrower. Let me just say, too, I know Gesta has hand speed. As the late, great Vernon Forrest once explained after he beat a very quick-handed Shane Mosley, a good jab could neutralize a lot of hand speed, right? Because a good jab changes the angles. A guy with hand speed comes in, he's dying to land a combination on you. You hit him with the jab. You keep him outside. He can't get to you to land the combination. Worse yet, you're upsetting his timing, right? Then, of course, a good jab allows you to move out of the way. You hit him with the jab. By the time his head snaps back, you've moved a little bit, right? And so, Miguel Vasquez, all I can say is, if you think he's overrated, then please ask yourself, how is it that he's beaten Breedis Prescott, Marvin Quintero, Ji-Hoon Kim? Understand, all three guys, huge punchers. Huge, right? How is it that Vazquez has gone the distance twice with Saul Alvarez, another huge puncher, right? The kind of guy who would trip up Vazquez would be another world-class guy with foot speed and angles, Timothy Bradley, who he lost to, right? But if you're a fighter like Gesta and you're front foot, not back foot, right? Gesta's not a guy who fights back foot. Understand, the guys who can fight on their back foot for 12 rounds and control you for 12 rounds, those guys are elite fighters, right? Gesta is front foot. We know what he's going to do. We know where he's going to be. I like Vazquez in this fight. I think Vazquez is vastly underrated. I think Vazquez, should he win this fight, really the sky's the limit. Because I think because of his low-key personality and because of his style in fights. In other words, when you watch him, you don't say, oh, wow, blinding hand speed. You know, Vazquez moves just enough to change the angles and mess people up. He's not explosive in the ring, right? I think people sell this guy short. I think he beats Mercito Gesta. I wouldn't be surprised, given all this hype on Gesta, if he's the favorite in the fight. I haven't seen the line yet, but I'll be surprised because this young man is so heavily hyped because he's unbeaten that people assume he's going to walk through the champion. But understand, the champion has faced much tougher competition, right? The hitters I've mentioned, Canelo and Timothy Bradley, even Marvin Quintero is a handful, right? Gesta, quite frankly, hasn't faced that level of competition. And I don't think he's going to really know what to do If he's in the ring and he finds out that Vazquez isn't giving him the angles to throw that straight left, right? Let me also point out, too, something else, and it's really a tribute to Floyd Mayweather. You know, it's very hard for even a technician to really figure out what to do with Mayweather, because Mayweather, in addition to having a straight right, his equivalent of Gesta's straight left and Manny Pacquiao's straight left, right? In addition to having that straight right, understand that you really can't just move away from Floyd Mayweather's straight right, because Floyd also has a left hook up in front, right? And so if you move away from Floyd's straight right, Floyd can then hit you with the left hook. And Floyd's able to throw that left hook with power and accuracy, both up top and down below. So if you want to see a fight where Floyd just kills a guy with the left hook, I mean, it's just knocking the guy down. In fact, it's Floyd at its best. Take a look at Floyd against Diego Corrales. Now, the problem with Gesta is he doesn't really have that punch, right? He doesn't have the punch that's going to lead Vazquez into his straight left hand, right? In my opinion, in many ways, Gesta is a one-handed fighter. I know he throws both punches, but look at the punches that really hurt the opponent. And all I'm saying is you can't be that against a Miguel Vasquez. I like Vazquez in that one. I know I'm going to get a lot of heat. I always do when I pick Vazquez, until, of course, the day after the fight. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at DwyerBoxingNews.com and GamblersAdvisory.com. Thanks for watching.